Oh, hey everybody, welcome back to the No Cover TV podcast. Look who's in the house. Bret Hann, all the way from Southern Australia, is with us today. Oh yes, he's a little tired and I'm trying to wake up. But anyways, before we get with Bret here, I got to talk to you for a minute. I want to thank each one of you out there for checking out the No Cover TV podcast, especially all the past shows that were on Spotify. They're still on Spotify, the audio shows, but they're now on YouTube, so you can check them out on YouTube. And of course, check out all the great video interviews we are doing with all these great artists from around the world, all genres, all age groups. It's amazing all the great music that is out there. It is. Just like this gentleman here. We're going to talk in just a minute. But you know what I'm going to say next, people? My three favorite words, what are they? Support, support, support. Support these artists. Go to the shows, pay a cover charge if there is one. Get to that swag table. Get yourself a CD, an album, a T-shirt, a hoodie, a coffee mug, a keychain, a bumper sticker. Oh my, it goes on. Then get to that stage and enjoy the show. See if you can stay afterwards and meet these incredible artists right here and see if you can get an autograph. You never know what's going to happen with these artists and where they're headed. Oh, yeah. And the best thing about it, these artists love doing what they're doing to put a smile on your face. And your smile in return kicks right back to these artists and puts a smile on their face. It's a great thing. Music makes the world go around. Oh, it does. I believe me, it does. So in the house today is Bret Hann from Australia. How you doing, brother?
Pretty good, thanks, Al. Yep.
Good, my friend. You just got done with practice, and you're in Southern Australia.
Yeah, we call it South Australia over here. But I guess it is the South Central Australia if you really wanted to lock us down geographically.
Okay, all right, good. So how often do you guys practice?
It just depends on how much we have coming up, whether we have recordings or shows. But generally, once a week, there's a full practice, and then there's, obviously we do our own private practice pretty much every day.
All right.
As we come up to shows, blocks of shows or recording or anything like that, we can do 2 or 3 times a week.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, great. Well, we're going to talk about Bret and the music and the band he's in and all about their music and stuff. But before we go down that road, you know what I'm going to do, people? I'm going to get in Bret's head here, and I'm going to pick his mind a little bit. Can I do that, Bret?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take you in the past. We're going to go down memory lane, my friend. I want to take you back to 8, 10 years old. Between those ages, we're listening to what our parents are listening to on the record or 8-track or whatever, or our siblings. And we're kind of honing in what we like ourselves. Back at that age, what were you kind of grasping onto as far as music-wise?
Well, I grew up in Katherine, right up in the Northern Territory, kind of close to Crocodile Dundee country, which is how you guys would know it.
Right.
And in those days, there was we had radio for about 12 hours a day.
12 hours a day.
For about 6 hours a day, maybe. So musically, everything was very, very limited. And I remember my dad had this old. He bought a secondhand reel-to-reel, and it just happened to have on it all of these songs that I now look back and go, oh, thank God that was on it. It was full of the Guess Who and Creedence and stuff like. It was full of stuff like that. So I literally. It was just a happy accident that I grew up listening to this old reel-to-reel playing Creedence and Guess Who and bands like that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of us envy you that you got to experience the reel-to-reel back then. That's great. That's amazing. Now, let me ask you this. You're young. What was the first album you bought?
The first album that I bought is an album you would never have heard of. It was an Australian comedian who had a TV show on the one TV show station that we had up there called The Auntie Jack Show. I can't even explain it to you, but it was satirical, very Australian comedy, very dry, but with really cool music. Like the guys that were involved with it were very good musicians. Rory O'Donoghue was the main songwriter. And if you can look it up, there's a song called Auntie Jack in the Box. That's brilliant.
I will do that. All right, let me ask you this. What Western artists did you grab a hold of when you were young and listen to?
Sorry, which artist?
What Western artist, a USA artist that you might have listened to at that
Oh,
age that really grabbed onto?
oh, oh, like I said, I mean, I heard, Credence and the Guess Who, but I was also, oh, I remember hearing Grand Funk Railroad when they
Oh,
just released the Locomotion and
oh yeah.
Spirit in the Sky. I remember that being played at one of the school socials, that sort of
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
So
Oh, Grand
yeah,
Funk Railroad. Great guys. Great guys. Oh yeah.
absolutely love, absolutely love them. Huge fan of Mel Shasha. He's just a great bass player.
Right, right. And Brett here is a bass player, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But so you're listening to that, but now with your music, with your band and stuff, you're incorporating blues, funk, and some rock in there. So you've had to listen to quite a few different genres, and I think did you stick with blues and funk for a while, or was there some rock that you like, classic rock?
No, quite early on when I was in my teens, I was in a band that was had a fairly big name here in South Australia back in the '80s, and that band was, like I said, Credence and is probably a rough comparison. It was that
Okay,
sort of rock and roll stuff. So it's kind of bluesy influenced rock.
sure,
Um,
sure.
but later on, I went through that whole thing, the Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin and all those great bands. So
Oh yeah. Well, this album right here look familiar?
fantastic. Yep, absolutely.
I wore that album out. Oh, I love Deep Purple.
Yeah, absolutely the same.
Unbelievable. Um, so you started you were in a band in your teens, and that was the 80s, you said?
That's right. Yeah,
Okay. I'm going to throw this one at you. You don't have to answer it, but did you wear spandex pants?
I didn't. No, no. We were more the Levi's and the t-shirt and the black t-shirt
All
kind of
right,
guys.
right. I couldn't get in that stuff. No way. No way. Uh,
I
uh.
had a lot of mates who were wearing spandex at the time. I'll tell you.
It was the end thing. Everybody wanted to be like David Lee Roth. Unbelievable.
Have
So
you have you heard of a band? Have you heard of a band called the Super Jesus? They're an
that
Australian band.
does, it sounds familiar, but I'm not too sure, Brett. I'm not too sure.
So the guitarist the original guitarist and main songwriter writer out of that band, and I went to school together. And the band that he was in at the time, they were definitely wearing spandex.
That's beautiful. That's funny. Unbelievable. Okay, well, let's move on here. So now, 18, you turn 18, life begins. You got to get a job. You either go to college, you start a family, and so on and so forth. Did you continue with your music throughout those years?
So from the time that I joined that first band, which was called Iron Horse,
Oh,
I was with them for 3 years, and that was basically like an apprenticeship, really.
oh yeah.
And then I went on to have other bands myself. I even had for a little while. I started up a Deep Purple tribute band, which is
Oh,
actually still going today. Not with
beautiful.
me in it, but um, so I worked pretty much in the music industry right through until November '89 it was, and then I took off overseas traveling. So there was
Oh,
pretty much 10 years straight of
okay.
working in the music industry. Back in
All
those
right.
days, you could actually make a living out of it.
You could. You actually could a little bit. Now it's a little
Yeah,
difficult because everybody
it's
thinks
very
they're a
hard now.
musician and an artist. And what do you think about these platforms now that everybody can post? It's easy to do that, and you can make a song and get it out there, and you can get followers and stuff. But back in our day, we had to pop a trunks, pass out the cassettes, and put posters on the telephone pole, and we had to hoof it. You know,
Yep.
and I don't think
Yeah.
this generation understands.
No, well, everything's done online now. I mean, the days of every weekend going out and on a Thursday night and leafleting the cars in the car park at the local venues. That went on for 3 or 4 years there in the early days.
Yeah.
You wouldn't imagine doing that now.
No, no. And back in the early days, it was a little bit of a competition between us bands, and it almost a lot of times turned into parking lot fights. It's like, get that out of that window, my goes into that window.
Well, you'd have the situation where the band that were playing there the night that you were there putting your leaflets out were playing on the same night as what was on the leaflet down the road, so they weren't keen on, and you'd come out and all your leaflets would be taken off, so.
Oh yeah. Great time. I miss those days. That's great, my friend. All right, let's jump ahead here. Now, Bret here is in the band 63 Deluxe. I'm loving that name, my friend, and I was listening to every song that I could find. Great stuff.
I
Unbelievable.
think so.
Now, you are a three-piece band. It's you, Anthony, and Jack, right?
That's right. Yep.
Okay. Now,
We
you
do. We
guys
do.
have been.
We do have a ghost member, Glenn. He doesn't tour but he's there. He lives. He's a good friend, and he uh, lives near us. And when we're recording, when we need keyboards, he's the man for that. So he's, like I say, he's a bit of a ghost member.
Okay, because I'm going to talk about those keyboards in a little bit when we hit to the music. Okay, oh, definitely. And so, anyways, when did you start this project, 63 Deluxe?
We started it pre-COVID,
Okay,
and what had happened at the time is Anthony he'd finished a whole bunch of projects and he needed a bit of a break, and we gave him a bit of a break.
sure.
Jack and I and Anthony, we're just mates. We've just been close mates. Anthony and I since we were teenagers.
Oh,
Jack for at least 12 or 13 years now. And we all met through with Jack anyway through another project where he just came in as the drummer for that project, and we all clicked as personalities, and we were all off doing other things in different bands, and basically we would get together 2 or 3 times a year maybe, and
oh,
just play together just for the fun of playing together, no other reason.
sure. Okay,
Anyway, when all the other stuff started to calm down, Anthony said, "Look, I've got a bunch of songs here that I'd like to develop," and we thought, "All right, well, let's put some time into it." And shortly after that happened, my son died. My teenage son died, and
sorry.
that sort of gave. That's it's about what three and a half years ago now, but the boys decided that look, the best thing to be doing was to be for me was to be focused. And I have written a little thing on Substack about it because it's taken a little while for me to work through.
Yeah,
But I have to say that it's one of the healthiest things that I could suggest to people who have to go through that. If whatever it is, it doesn't have to be music, but whatever their passion is, it just gives you a break from the grief, which
yeah,
is it's just constantly there, especially at first, and
yeah.
then to go into a recording studio or to go into a rehearsal room or play a show, you can't, you know what it's like. You can't be thinking about anything else when you're doing
No,
that stuff, and it gives you a break from your reality. Um,
yeah, yeah.
and it's like I say, it's 3.5 years now, and it's it still hurts, it's still
Oh, yeah.
raw, but at the same time, I can manage the pain now, I guess, is if
Okay.
I'm being bluntly honest.
Well, yeah.
And it's just been a fantastic help. So
Well, and I'm sorry for your loss. And, the trials and tribulations we go through in life can hit us hard and they can really knock us down in life. And as you said, if we can grab a hold of a hobby or something like that to kind of switch our mind over to something a little different for a little while from the grieving, it does help the healing process. It does take a lot of time, but it does help.
absolutely, yeah. So what we did anyway was then of course COVID. Well, Nick died, I think, in the first year of COVID. Um, so then anyway, we decided that once we were into it, it gave us that extra impetus. So we worked really quite hard, and if you've done this stuff, you know that to get that ball rolling is the hardest effort. It just
Oh, yeah.
you sort of you're looking at it and you're looking at the results and you're kind of going, oh, geez, this is just so far from what it needs to be. It's
Right.
such a, and if you and it's kind of worse if you know what has to happen. If you don't know and it's all new and you're just like, yeah, but when you
Right.
actually know the amount of work that it takes to get there, it's kind of harder. But like I said, this gave us that focus and that impetus, and so really for the next 2 years, we just worked really hard. Firstly, at that initial set of songs that Anthony wrote, which is most of the album. Um,
Sure.
this that gets released on Friday, the 1st of
Yeah.
November. Um, but then, once we sort of started to get a handle on that and that ball started to move, then and the chemistry of the band started to work, it became more of someone would bring an idea in and then we would work it up together. So
Oh, okay. That's
a lot of the
great.
stuff that's been written since then has been, usually Anthony, he brings the majority of the ideas in to start with.
Okay.
And then we'll all just workshop it basically until we've got the
Oh,
idea sort of threshed out.
okay. Yeah, I was wondering if Anthony brought most of it in or if you guys helped out with that and stuff like that. And each of
Yeah,
you
so
in your,
the first
yeah, I was going to say, each of you in your own right are hell of a musicians. You guys are great, you know,
thanks, mate. Yeah.
unbelievable. It's incredible. Now, you're coming out November 1st is the release of your album. That's got 12 tracks on it.
Yep, that's
12
right.
tracks. That's beautiful, man. And like I said, I've been listening to music and I've just been funking out and bluesing. Oh, yeah. Good stuff.
Well, actually, what kind of happened is last year, late last year, one of our friends here who has a radio show sort of prompted us and pushed us to enter the Memphis Blues competition. And we kind of thought, well, we're not really a blues band, are we? I know we got blues content and influences,
Right, right.
but and there was a couple. I think there's one song you could say is blues on the album, but some of the others, they're more the blues content is kind of there, but it's not the dominant one.
True.
So we decided, oh well, all right, we'll go in it. So we'll write a couple of some blues songs, And
Like,
anyway,
oh,
we went into it this is June this year, and we won it. So um, we'll be over in Memphis in January next year. So
you're
yeah,
going to be in Memphis January next year? Oh, I like that. Oh, my. Good deal, my friends. Before we get any farther, Brett, can you tell everybody out there where they can find your music and everything about 63 Deluxe?
yep. So 63deluxe.com or on YouTube. Again, just 63 Deluxe YouTube.
Okay.
It's on Spotify. It's on Apple Music. It's on all the usual sort of platforms. But yeah, if you or on Facebook as well. It's all
It's
on
all
all the
there.
usual platforms.
Right. You don't have to mention them. We all do know. That's
That's
funny.
it. Yep.
That's great. Now, I
Actually,
know that.
what I would like to do is to get more subscribers on YouTube. That'd be great. So yeah, go and subscribe on YouTube. That'd be
Subscribe.
fantastic.
You heard him. Subscribe to his channel and subscribe to the No Cover TV channel so you can stay updated with our stuff and Brett's stuff. Yes,
Definitely
exactly.
do that. Definitely do
Subscribe to the channels, and buy the digital downloads and all that great stuff. Get that music. Support these artists. Definitely. Now, I was looking around and I noticed you got quite a few fans that love what you're doing, my friend. What do you think of that?
Yeah, it's been a bit of to be really honest, we were so focused on the music that we kind of forgot about how it would be received, and there's so many
True.
good bands around, but it's actually been really genuinely a surprise that we've had kind of the reception we've got. It's very nice. It's always
Great.
makes you feel good, I guess.
Well, yeah, definitely. Now, are you guys playing out quite a bit?
Yeah, Adelaide copped a lot of a pretty heavy hit from COVID as far as venues. We lost a lot of venues, and it's
Yeah,
changed the culture a little bit.
it is.
And even though we are listed as one of the UNESCO world cities of music, we're struggling at the moment, to be quite honest.
Okay.
And also, I think we're struggling here because of the cost of everything has gone up so much since COVID that people are staying home more, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's a bit tough. People are very enthusiastic when they talk to you, and they're, we're getting the hits online and everything. We're getting a fairly consistent crowd live, but not what you would generally expect previous to COVID. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
It is terrible over here. The inflation is just killing us. It is. It's unreal. So, and it's sure it's all around the world, definitely. And so now, are you playing mostly venues, or are you doing any festivals, or have you?
No, next year we hope to be doing some festivals here in Australia. Most of the venues here in Adelaide that we do are the pubs, the clubs, those sort of things. We did organise a show last year at one of Adelaide's favourite theatre. When I say theatre, it's a music theatre,
Oh, okay.
which is a classic old, like a Fillmore type venue, I guess,
Oh,
called the Theberton Theatre, or Thebby as we call it.
okay.
We did one of the last shows there before they went into renovations and everything, which is going to take a while. But and we did that was actually a brilliant show because it was with the guys out of Iron Horse did a reunion. So I rang around and
Oh,
got everybody down there, and
yeah.
one of our old friends, Vince Cotterino, who's a great singer, he jumped on board, and Stuart Day and a few others, all these great local musicians, and we put it all together, and we even got the original old Iron Horse crew. So it was a bit of a nostalgic gig, and the whole
Yeah.
thing went off fantastic. It was, it was a great crowd, and all of the bands played really well. We got video footage of it, and the audio, of course,
Right.
and that was just a really, really positive project, where, like I said, it was a win-win-win. Everybody won out of it. It was
Yeah.
fantastic, and it gave us a bit of a. That was one of our first sort of major shows to play in front of a
Okay.
bigger audience, so it gave us a little bit of a platform to work from. So yeah.
Right on. Right on. The smaller venues are great, but what would you prefer, to be on the big stage in front of a bigger crowd, or just the smaller venues where it's more intimate?
I mean, I like both. I really do. It's they both have different benefits. The only ones that I struggle with are the ones where the smaller venues where um, you're being told to turn down all the time. Jack, not because we play particularly loud, but it's just that I always you always work to the drummer, and we got a loud drummer. What can I say?
You're hitting hard. Bam.
So and that kind of takes away a bit of your dynamics when you kind of squashes your dynamics down a little bit. You can the difference when you quieten down is less when you're already half quiet. So
Right, have
um,
volume. Yeah. Our problem is when we played out, our singer couldn't watch his mouth. So during a song, an F bomb might be thrown out there, or something might be thrown out there. And there's one gig where they shut us right down, get the hell out. It's like,
oh wow,
okay.
no problem, no problem with f bombs here.
Oh, brother. So, yeah, no, that was long lived. So, anyways, okay, now we talked about the Memphis Blues Challenge, and you won it, didn't you?
Well, we won the South Australian leg,
Okay,
which gives us the in to go over to Memphis and compete with all the other bands. So yeah, we're
right.
really looking forward to that. It's going to be great fun.
Now, how about the International Blues Challenge in the U.S. here?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. That's what we've been. This win makes us eligible, so we fly over
Oh,
there.
okay.
and we spend the 2 or 3 or 4 days or however long we last.
Sure.
So
Right,
and the song
exactly. That's
and
all right.
we've kind of developed songs that are more blues leaning now since that time. So
Okay.
the set will actually it will be a blues rock band if you like, with a little bit of funk and a little bit of soul. That's
Okay.
probably the best balance that I could make of it.
Yeah, balance it out.
Where
Definitely.
Whereas the album is more straight down the line. And like I said, there is one blues song on there which we will be playing in Memphis,
Nice.
called "Did You Really
Okay.
Think?"
All right. Well, good deal. Now, I've got some songs I want to talk about, and it was hard for me to pick a few songs out because they're all great. Definitely. So let's talk about some. All right, let's go to, well, this is an older song, I think, Lost and Found.
"Lost and Found" was actually, I reckon, it was the very very first song that Anthony brought to us.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, that was actually, I think, the first one that you could say this band as it is started work on. So yeah,
Oh,
that definitely the oldest one.
that's what I think. And it was kind of a more of a mellow blues tune, I feel. Yeah. It had a great vibe to
Yeah, I mean it's it was a little bit of a, well, what I probably should have said earlier is that the reason that we'd never done anything before this was that we could never find a singer.
it.
And when this all sort of started, Anthony said, "Look, that's it. I'm going to learn to sing." So he said,
There you
what
go.
it's like. The band's chemistry is the most important thing. So
It is.
we couldn't really find the right singer um, to fit with it, in the chemistry right. So yeah, he just decided, right, we're going to do this. So I'm going to learn to sing. So he literally learned to sing. He's been learning to sing for the last 3 years, and I think he's done a fantastic job, to be quite
He's,
honest.
yeah, he's doing a great job. Great job. Here, let's go to another song here. Now, My Favorite Hurricane, loving that. Now, that's a newer song, isn't it?
That was actually, it was around the same time. It was
Oh,
probably the
really?
second or third song. Yeah, and that one is actually about Anthony's stepdaughter.
Oh.
She's uh, she is a hurricane. There's no doubt about that.
I was leaving it at that.
Yeah,
Ah, that's
oh,
funny.
it's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah,
All right, that's explanatory, exactly. Now, on that song, I'm hearing the keys.
yeah.
Yeah. Now,
That's
when I
Glenn. That's Glenn.
go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that's Glenn, who's also a close friend of the band. And it just look, he's done as a producer, engineer, session player. He's done over 40 albums, so uh, he he would listen to it, and we've known each other since we were teenagers, so we kind of have a trust of each other's ears.
Yeah.
And we kind of worked out, there's different things. We would talk about things about, maybe this song needed strings, or that song could do with, I mean, there's no brass on any of these songs, but there are songs that we were going, oh, that could do with some brass,
Right.
and the keys on this song are just like that. It was just the right thing to bring the song in, and the different parts of it. Sunshine's the
Sure.
same.
Sure. One other song I want to touch on, and that's Red Light. Red Light.
Yep.
Now, what I
Again, one of the
like,
very early ones.
one of the very early ones, I'm loving that, and I can't wait for the first to hear, the new album and stuff. But on that one, the keys were a little more prominent, and I'm listening. Now, is Glenn, it sounds kind of like a Hammond, kind of like on the B3 almost.
Yeah, that's right. There's a little tiny. Anthony will correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was recorded in a little tiny church up here in the Adelaide Hills, because of the acoustics of the little
Oh,
church. And pretty much any time Anthony wants Hammond organ, he rings Glenn and he books the church, and they go and do it. So, but it's all real. Like the whole lot of it is. His miking techniques, his setup, everything's real in the sense of the keyboards on that song.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, Glenn. Why don't we get to some fun questions now? Let's have some fun. All right. Want to do that?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to put you on the spot, my friend. Here we go. All right. On this question here, you get two answers. And we're going to think around the world a little bit. Two stages the band, would like to really perform on anywhere in the world.
I reckon I would love to do Red Rocks. That would be amazing. And I mean, the old standard somewhere like Wembley or,
Oh, yeah, Wembley. Oh, yeah.
who wouldn't like to do Wembley, right? Come
Oh,
on.
exactly. Oh, that'd be beautiful. Or Madison Square Garden or something like that. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Or even, even something like the Fillmore, is to be
Oh,
able to go
yeah.
and play somewhere like that. Just the, uh, what do they call it? The zeitgeist or whatever, like.
We could actually bring you to the Whiskey a Go Go and you can go back to the 80s style if you want
That'd be pretty.
to.
Yeah,
There you go.
absolutely.
The whiskey. Oh, man. All right, let's jump to the next question. You get two answers on this one. And this is just for you personally, not the band. This is about two artists, one that's alive, one that has passed away. Two artists you, Bret, really want to jump on the stage and perform with. Anybody.
Okay, so a dead artist that I would really like to play with would have to be. I'm a huge Tommy Shannon fan, so Stevie Ray Vaughan would be the dead artist that I
Oh,
would love to play with.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was sad to lose
And,
Stevie. Yes, it was great stuff. Oh
yeah,
my
I
God,
actually I had tickets to see him when he died too. But,
really, that's bad. That,
uh,
that, that hits you hard. I mean, when we lost Randy Rhoads back in the '80s, that hurt. That hurt us. Oh yeah,
yeah.
definitely. So, all right. Okay, now let's go to this one. I like hearing the answers on this question from artists because they're all just a little different, but about the same. When you
Actually,
get out, what's that?
sorry. I didn't tell you the live ones. The live
Oh
musician
yeah,
that I'd like to play with is either Warren Haynes or um, Nick Panasakis. You
really?
wouldn't have heard of him. Nick
No,
Panasakis is a wonderful, wonderful guitar player here in Adelaide, and I would really, dearly love to play with him.
sweet brother, sweet. And by the way, Brett, we've got some viewers watching right now, and one of them, a good friend of mine, Ed Kite, says this right here, man. Rock on. That's from Ed Kite. He's a great guy, and he's
Cheers.
a player. So good,
Great.
thanks, Ed.
Cheers, Ed.
I appreciate that, Ed, very much. Thank you, my friend. So, and also the next question I want to get at, like I was saying, means a lot, and this one with the band today, or even the things you've done in the past. When you jump on the stage, you start performing in front of a decent sized crowd. And as soon as you hit the first note, you or all the guys and the singing starts, the crowd turns around, starts coming to the stage, starts swinging, swaying. Possibly you see them singing your songs to you. If you see that, how does it hit you in the heart, Bret?
Well, I actually do get to experience that.
Nice.
The band that I mentioned earlier that I sort of did my apprenticeship with, Iron Horse, they had an album. They had an album out. Just it was released just after I left it. I left the band, but there were two songs that one I wrote, the other one I was co-writer on. It was actually three on that album. Anyway, that album got into I think number 2 here in Adelaide and into the top 40 in nationally. I can't remember the details now, but I do play in another band with the guitarist out of Iron Horse, which is just a
Wow.
fun band. We do a few Iron Horse songs, and we do a few covers and Credence and
Sure.
what have you. And it's just a fun thing. But we do those shows and we start playing Iron Horse songs, and I'm looking at these people that I've got, and I've never met them before. They're up
Right.
the front and they know all the words. That's very cool.
It is very cool. And you actually remember each of those moments that happened. And it don't matter if it's 40 years gone
Yeah.
by, you still remember those. I do.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a great feeling. It is a great feeling. All right. This question, I'm going to put you on the spot because this happens to all my rock bands, heavy metal bands. It might have happened to you, Brett. Most embarrassing moment on stage. Any of them you want to share?
Yeah, that's easy. That's a very easy one. Again, going back with Iron Horse, we were doing a show at this club, which I think was about 700 people there. And it was packed, and the support band had done a really good job of warming the crowd up. And we went on stage, and the crowd were starting to call out, and it was a really really pumped up vibe. And the lights came on, and do you know this? Do you know the band the Easy Beats?
Not offhand, no.
No, okay. So the Easy Beats were an Australian band in the late '60s.
Oh, okay.
They were huge here, and they were huge in the UK. So I don't know whether they were big in the US or not. Anyway, they got a song called "Sorry," which is a 4 chord opening thing, and we started the first 2 notes, and on the third note, the guitarist and I both broke a string on the same note. So the band had played 2 notes. The guitarist and the bass player both broke their strings. It was the,
Oh,
the biggest letdown. There was this huge pumped up thing, and then suddenly it was like, and the roadies are running around trying to change basses and guitars. And meanwhile, the poor other guitarist is just doing this thing, the chicka chicka chicka, trying to, yeah, very embarrassing.
oh man, yeah. That you never know what's going to happen on stage, from strings breaking to tripping on chords, or the drummer's falling into the
Oh yeah,
drums. You don't know. I've seen it all.
off the back of the riser.
That's funny. That's good. I like that. Now, are you guys getting any radio play press over there?
Yeah, well, with the lead up to the album, we've had quite a few radio interviews, and we're getting a fair bit of radio play on, especially on the community stations. Community radio over here, I don't know what it's like in the US, but community radio over here has taken a big boost since they've been able to broadcast on the internet. Um, it's to me, this is my own impression. It's like anyone can get on Spotify and they can listen to somebody's list of songs, or what's it called, playlist.
Yes.
But when you listen to a radio uh, DJ announcer, they've kind of done their homework on the songs, so they take you on a bit more of a journey than just playing the songs.
Right, they do.
It's becoming more and more popular over here. Community radio is actually gaining, which is really good.
That is good. That is good. We have one in our town. It's called WYC. Shout out to them. I DJ just for them for a little bit, and they've been around for a long time. And it's a great thing that the artists can get their music on those public radio stations. It's nice instead of going to the ones you can't get on, of course, most of the time. But yeah, the community radio stations. Shout out to all of you. Great job for getting these musicians, artists, and their
Absolutely.
music out there. Oh, definitely, definitely. Now, throughout with you guys, are you? It's kind of more works for individual artists, but collaborating. Now, are you working with any other artists? I mean, Glenn comes in once in a while, collaborates with you. Anything else you're looking for, maybe possibly, or work with somebody?
At the moment, we've been that flat out, just trying to get the album finished, released, and then doing parallel with winning the competition and getting ready to go to the US.
Yeah,
All of that stuff's just been so busy. Like I said, we initially talked about doing the second album with which we've got half written, with sort of some of the more notable local musicians and a couple from interstate.
sure.
Um, but it's like I said, it's a time thing. It's hard to organise time where they can come in and we've got time to work on that stuff together. But yeah,
Good.
I'd like to actually dedicate a whole album to that, where we could get a different drummer in and get Jack on percussion, because he's done percussion for bands. I think he's a session player, but he's done percussion for a reggae band, that original reggae band that he was in.
Wow.
And poor drummer would have been, looking over at him going, I hope I'm doing this right. Which is
Right.
actually the same. It's actually the same with me and Anthony, because Anthony's actually a really very good bass player. He's toured
Is
the
he
world
right?
with a band called Fruit. So yeah, no, it's like no pressure.
No pressure. That's great. Now, are you guys doing all your PR work, or is there anybody helping you out?
Well, at the moment, we're still working through who and how and what. To this point, we've been doing it ourselves, but there is going to come a point where probably, I would say, mid to early next year, where we're just not going to have the time to do it. So it's just a matter of getting it to the point where we, making enough money from
Yeah.
playing to be able to offset the cost,
Right.
because it's a diminishing returns kind of setup, really.
True. True.
And I'm sure every band has the same issue. I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, times have changed since back then to now. If a label approached you, would you consider it?
Yeah, I guess, but it would just depend on, like we've had a couple of labels talk to us,
Oh,
but it's really interesting that what a label offers today is very different to what a label used to offer back in the
no.
day. So, and
Yeah.
interestingly, these two different labels, what they're sort of proposing, are very different to each other.
Oh,
So
okay.
back in the day, you would kind of look at it and kind of go, it's all basically going to come down to the same thing. You can do things in different ways, but where you're going is the same. Whereas this is kind of like, yeah, they're kind of half promotion companies, half record labels. Whereas they
Yeah.
were sort of separate back in the.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I would agree. And plus, I don't think nowadays you have to sign in blood.
Well, no, I mean, I guess that's one of the benefits that have come out of the change in the industry. It would be
Yeah.
good if we could actually be paid for our music, though.
I agree. I agree, my friend. Brett, we're at 42 minutes. We got a few minutes left. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Bret Hann, for coming on the show. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, mate. You're welcome very much.
But before we go, I got a couple more questions for you. Let's go
Okay,
5 years
shoot.
from now. Where do you see you guys? Where do you want to be with 63 Deluxe?
I think we would. Well, I would anyway. I won't speak for the other boys, but I think I would like it to be to the point where we had things set up so that the money side of it was more streamlined, and the people who were dealing with bookings and the promotions and that side of it were more um, set up to do the jobs where it's not impeding on us, so we can focus on the music. And it's just like any business. It just takes a bit of time to get things right, and you'll make some mistakes and correct it. And if you just keep heading in the right direction, as long as your product's good, we should be. I think we should be able to get to a point where we can do what we enjoy doing, and take a little bit of the stress of the stuff
Yeah,
that's an aside
right on.
away from us. That would be good.
That would be. I agree, Brett. I think you guys are going a long ways and you're going to knock some doors down, and definitely you're going to get where you want to be. Most definitely, friend. Yeah.
Well, hopefully we do have the week after Memphis. We've got a couple of days booked at a recording studio in Nashville. To what we're going to do is, because the songs that we're playing in Memphis will be all nice and polished up, we'll go in
Yeah.
there and record that set of songs, and we'll release that as an EP. And hopefully we will get back to the US later next year
That'd be
for a
great,
tour.
great. And if I can get around to come down and see you wherever you're at, I want to do that, my friend. I want to do that. Because if you see a big
That'd be
guy
great.
running, if you see a big guy running towards the stage, that's me. Because I'm gonna jump on that stage and join you. All right. And I'll make sure I'm wearing
No problem.
spandex.
I'll hold you to that.
Right. All right. One more question before we get out of here. And this is what I like to hear. You got any advice for these youngsters that want to do what we do?
Yeah, I think don't don't do it because you want to be famous. Do it because you want to express yourself through music. Do it for you, and do it as, like I say, as an expression through music for you. And I think if you and keep in mind the quality of it. Don't take second best.
No, not at all. Not at all. And like I say, remember, it's your music. Don't let anybody tell you how to do it or what to do. It's your music.
Absolutely. Yep.
Exactly.
That's right. Yep.
So everybody on podcast land, now you can go check out Bret Hann 63 Deluxe on Spotify and all the other channels and sit back and turn it up. And you're going to love it. Oh, yeah. You're going to rock out on this stuff. It's great stuff. Bret Hann, thank you from the bottom of my heart again for coming on the show. I want you back in 6 months to a year, see where you're going and where you're at, okay?
Thank you very much, Al. Appreciate it.
No problem. Now you can go unload the car and go to bed, okay?
Yeah.
There you go. All right, we're going to get out of here, Bret. Tell everybody, you got any last words? This is your show. You got any shout outs? You want to say hi to anybody? Anything?
Yeah, I want to say hi to my friend Darwin down in Memphis, who's been my internet friend for over 10 years now. He's been quite ill lately and he's just gone home. And I hope to see you soon, buddy. I hope you're
Yeah,
well.
good deal. Good deal. All right, everybody, we're going to get out of here. Bret Hann, thank you, brother. Say peace. We're out of here.
Okay, cheers. Bye.
Cheers, brother.